The Michael Jackson funeral was kind of pretty. There were portions of it where I thought the music and what was said, the emotions that were expressed, were powerful and genuine, and I was pleased. I was afraid that it was going to turn into a circus, more of a concert than a funeral, but mostly they walked a pretty good line. There was something evident at the funeral, however, that if it's okay, I'd like to discuss, and that's the way that this death of Michael Jackson and the public reaction to it has, to an extent, galvanized along racial lines. It was interesting, if you watched the funeral and you didn't know Michael Jackson, you would have presumed that the person being memorialized was someone who had spent their life as a crusader for African American rights. We had a representative from the Congressional Black Caucus. We had the son and daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who compared Michael Jackson as a race crusader to their beloved father. We had the Reverend Al Sharpton give the homily, if you will, the funeral sermon. You had music that largely was from the African American tradition. And all of this is fine. It's just that it's also fairly surprising, because Michael Jackson in his life was a person who seems to have had complex opinions about race. Michael Jackson was raised in a black family and was genetically black, but as we all know, he underwent medical therapy, which was never explained, that made him white, not just on his face and on his hands, but from music videos where his shirt is open, his entire body. Further, when he had children, and these children were all three born from donated egg and donated sperm, Michael Jackson, who was born a black man and raised in a black family, chose as donors of both egg and sperm in all three situations white people. His children are genetically white. Michael Jackson chose to make himself white, and he chose for his progeny children who were also genetically white, not mixed race, not black, not Latino, not Asian, but Caucasian. I suspect that that wasn't an accident. I suspect the fact that all three of them are white was not a coincidence. I suspect that that was clearly the choice of Michael Jackson, and it reflected some sort of thinking going on in his mind. What does this mean? I'm not sure. Is it a criticism? Absolutely not. People may embrace who they will. People may feel represented by who they will. But Michael Jackson was a very complex figure, and in our worship of him over the last 2 weeks, we have simplified him into this saintly icon. That word is used all the time by television anchors who have no idea whatsoever what it means. An icon is a visual image of a saint which is revered and almost worshipped in some Catholic traditions. And so to call Michael Jackson an icon is to suggest that he is in some way godlike or saintly. And the fact is that the way our society has responded to him in this worshipful fashion over the last 2 weeks, culminating in that memorial service, we have treated him far more like a god than like a man. Well, he may have been a lot of things, but he was not a god. He was instead a man, a very complex and possibly a very troubled man, even troubled on the issue as fundamental as race.